The world is filled with crazy gimmicks, and the roller coaster industry is no exception. While several out there do fulfill their primary intention and are a little bit of a one-trick pony, this begs the question, does Vekoma's next generation tilt coaster, Siren's Curse, live up to the hype of delivering an amazing ride experience, or is it just a one-trick pony? So join me as we go over Cedar Point's newest and possibly craziest roller coaster added to America's rock and roller coaster. Before we get started, my voice does sound a little off this video thanks to me screaming my head off on my 3 rides on Siren's Curse over opening weekend. Siren's Curse was announced in September of 2024 and the announcement caught everyone by surprise. There were zero hints of a coaster this major coming in the year after Top Thrill 2's less than stellar opening year. It was pretty evident that this was a last minute decision to add to the park, made even more evident with the late in the season opening. As far as I can recall, Cedar Point intends to have their new roller coasters open by opening day each season, with a few unplanned delays. However, Siren's Curse right from the initial announcement was slated to be a summer opening and will not open with the park for the new season. So where did this surprise tilt coaster come from? Rewind a few years and in 2022 it was announced that Energylandia would be getting a tilt coaster. Time passed and eventually that project was officially canceled. Shortly after, rumors started swirling about Six Flags Mexico getting a tilt coaster where the bright red track started showing up on site. Fast forward a little more where the park had permitting issues and Cedar Point announced they'll be getting a brand new shiny state-of-the-art tilt coaster from Vekoma. Later confirmed by a statement by Cedar Point's communications director Tony Clark, Siren's Curse did in fact come from another canceled project. When you head to Siren's Curse, you can immediately tell the presentation is brought to a level much higher than anything Cedar Point's brought through their attractions in the past. The entrance is grand, sitting right beneath the incredibly intimidating tilt track. You look around and see the supports have been painted to look like rusting shipping infrastructure you would find scattered around the Great Lakes. There is water and more rusted infrastructure scattered beneath the coaster track. One of my personal favorite touches is the dive under the queue at the end of the triple down that will fill up with fog once the coaster is released from the tilt track. The extra effort Cedar Point went through dressing up an already impressive looking coaster adds a lot to the ride experience. Much like nearly all recent additions to Cedar Point, you cannot bring large bags onto the attraction. If you have a backpack, you will need to purchase a locker for a few bucks to hold your stuff while you wait in line. Also, like Cedar Point's most recent attractions, you cannot ride with anything in your pockets. Thankfully, unlike Top Thrill 2, there are double-sided lockers in the queue, similar to Steel Vengeance, that are free where you can place smaller items such as your phone while you are riding Siren's Curse. This will also be your merge point for Fastlane Plus. From the lockers, it's about a 10 to 15 minute wait until you board the derelict-looking station and begin your crazy ride. Right out of the station, you rocket up towards the high point and the tilt track. This is where you get another pleasant surprise as the onboard audio kicks in where you start to hear the sirens luring you in. You inch forward and position onto the tilt track where you stop for a moment as the emergency bumper is placed in the front of the train and a hooking mechanism that holds the train latches onto it as well. Once all systems are go, the music changes and you quickly tilt into the vertical position. My biggest question going in was, would this tilt track look better than it does riding it? I can happily report that no. This is just as intimidating while on the ride vehicle as it looks when standing on the ground below. The sirens have now lured you in, the bass drops on the onboard audio, and you release down the twisted drop, getting fantastic floater airtime as gravity takes over. The music changes into heavy metal as you are now whipping around the rest of the course. You immediately rise up into the first inversion, providing amazing ejector airtime in the front and crazy whip in the back. Dive down directly into the first of 2 very whippy 0G rolls. After gaining back your senses, you turn around and head into a wild triple down filled with twist and a final drop under the queue, delivering the best moment of ejector airtime on the ride as you dive into the fog. As you rise up, you quickly reverse direction, snapping back into the ground. Hit another powerful moment of airtime as you fly by the station. Hit your second whippy 0G roll, immediately get another moment of ejector airtime as you fly through a wave turn. Spin around as you head towards the station, hitting multiple moments of airtime until you hit the final brakes as you can now catch your breath from the insane and forceful 55 seconds of prime ride time from the moment the tilt track starts to the final brakes. Just like any roller coaster, where you sit on the train does decrease or increase your enjoyment of the coaster. I got a total of 3 rides in which 2 were in the back and 1 in row 4. The back by far gives the best forces as you are yanked through the airtime hills, and tilting up into the highest position is exhilarating in the back row. However, even in row 4 towards the middle of the train, you still get excellent airtime as the tilt track is almost as intimidating as sitting in the back row. I personally did not sit in the front row. However, Erin did get a front row ride where she tells me it's just about as good as the back. One final note, while sitting in the front or back will deliver the best ride experience, I found that row requests were not being taken too much if the row you wanted is already filled. So, just go in with expectations that you might not get the row you want, but the ride is excellent in all rows. One final note before getting into the final scores is how incredibly elite a night ride Siren's Curse is. Thanks to the incredible lighting package on the vehicles themselves, along with tons of amazing lighting effects around the layout, especially the fog lit up as you dive under the queue at the end of the triple down. Siren's Curse is not only the best night ride at Cedar Point, but is also the best night ride of any steel coaster I have been on. Siren's Curse delivers on not only delivering an amazing looking ride from the outside, but even more so when you are zipping through its twisty and airtime filled layout. Before getting into my final thoughts, you have to think as good as Siren's Curse is, should it have gone to Cedar Point? Yes and no. It is no secret that Cedar Point already has an incredible lineup of coasters that is not matched anywhere on Earth, and Siren's Curse makes it even more OP. Something this insane could have benefited many other parks in the Six Flags chain. However, being a pre-built coaster, the ground has to be absolutely flat, ruling out locations such as my home park of Kings Island, where Vortex's plot is filled with tons of hills and ditches. While there are other parks that do have flat land begging to add something like Siren's Curse, nevertheless, thanks to the amazing theming, I think Siren's Curse fits incredibly well at America's rock and roller coast. My biggest question was, would the tilt track deliver as a gimmick or look cooler than it actually rides? Without a doubt, this is one of the most intimidating coaster elements, and quite frankly makes B&M dive coasters like Siren Curse's neighbor feel obsolete. Vekoma also shows that you can have an elite and thrilling layout past your gimmick that delivers just as much, if not more, than a tilt coaster's main selling point. One final concern is the capacity, and while a park like Cedar Point could have gone with something with a higher hourly capacity, Siren's Curse still delivers a similar hourly output as Maverick, with their teams cranking out their 2 trains constantly and filling to capacity. With that being said, Cedar Point and Vekoma hit this one out of the damn park, with a final score of 9.7 out of 10, currently ranked number 17 out of 255 roller coasters I have ridden. Well, what do you think of Siren's Curse? Do you agree with my review, or did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments. Those of you who are new, consider subscribing to Park Productions, where we have attraction reviews, park reviews, trip vlogs, and many other fun videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.